So all of these stories that I share on my channel, all of my trip reports, I try to provide a little bit more than entertainment. I try to reflect some type of, I don't know about teaching, but some type of understanding that I have within myself that can be reflected to you as you watch this material. So with that being said, I came out yesterday to film this story and I didn't feel right about it. It just didn't feel right. I didn't have, and I still don't think I do, but I'm still going to give it a try. I didn't feel right coming out here. Like, I was hesitant in telling the story because I didn't fully understand it. And as I was coming here, there was a bear just on the trail here, and he's just taking his sweet ass time walking along. Not really, just put up the red flags like, I should not tell it today. So I went home last night and I was thinking about it, and honestly I don't know if I made any progress, but here it is. 1,000 micrograms of LSD. This was I think the first time I took this much. I've only done it twice. I don't think I'll ever do it again. But this time, coupled with another time where I did the same sheet at 100 micrograms, and the 100 microgram trip was vastly crazier and wilder. And I'll put the link in the description. But that LSD was on the same sheet as this LSD, and this LSD was a lot gentler in a sense. It was just different. This took place at my home, in my living room. It was about 8 at night, maybe a little later, because my wife was getting ready for bed, about 10 at night, let's say. She's getting ready for bed, and I'm ready to put in, a 12-hour meditation on LSD. So I decided I was going to go with 1,000 micrograms. And there were 110 microgram tabs, so I did 9 of them, which brought it to 1,040 micrograms. So the first half an hour was really nothing. But usually it kicks in about 40-45 minutes. I start to feel something. But at the 30-minute mark, it was like something I've never experienced before, where it was like the ego just fully evaporated instantly. It wasn't challenging. There was zero effort. It just happened instantaneously, just like a switch was flipped. And my wife was sitting there, and all of a sudden I had this huge rush of I feel incredible, just this surge of energy, and I was pacing around the living room, and I remember I just feel incredible. I felt absolutely invincible. Invincible is a concept, meaning that for something to be invincible, something needs to be brittle, and none of those mattered. It was just, it's perfection. And then my wife would try to engage me, but she would engage me in a way that was in an ego pattern. And my response, without any effort on my part, it was just it wasn't a reaction, but it was an action on my part. And she would ask me a question, and instead of answering the question, it's I could see through all of that. All the layers in between us were just gone, and I could see what she was working on herself, or how her question and how my response in correlation to her question could answer and break down her own ego if she was willing to look at it or willing to face it. It was she was being corralled, and she would ask me something and try to avoid or try to work around what I was saying, but I was so direct that it was backing her into a corner. It was backing her into a corner, and then she would jump over to a different topic, and then I would back her into that corner. And this happened for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and then finally she got really, really frustrated. It was she was getting, she reached her point of her breaking point, where she wasn't going to put up with that anymore, and she went to bed. If looking at it, it's she ran away. So I was attacking her ego. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm still working through this as I usually I'm doing that. I'm always working through my stuff as I'm saying it. So basically, it was just me attacking her ego, or everything that she would try to say was like when Martin wrote about in one of his books that when he had his realization that every time his wife would try to engage him in an egoic pattern, that pattern would bounce off of Martin and reflect back to his wife in some way. And usually when the reflection happens, it's uncomfortable because you're facing yourself. And that's for like 15 minutes. That's what it was like. And it felt incredible on my part because it's like all the BS was just, it was not even, wasn't a thing. It's not like I had to even like think about anything in the moment. It was just like, it was just happening. So then my wife went to bed, and then after she went to sleep, then the energy settled down, and that's when like the work began. So I sat on my couch and I got my blanket over me, and so like the energy went from like really ramped up. So I was like in it at this point. I was in the trip, and I was just like meditating, and I put my music on. I was just like meditating. It's like all colors and flashing lights and fractal patterns, and everything's like pulsating and breathing, and it reaches this point where math, like algebra question equations and like math problems, are in my field of view with my eyes closed, and it's just math problem after math problem after math problem. I'm not very good at math but I was like solving these problems in my mind, like just working through my own bullshit, working through my own illusions, and these like math problems were like being written out, and after enough of them, like I'd solve enough and then my bladder would fill up, and then I need to go release. So I get up and I went to the bathroom and had all the lights off. It's like, midnight at this point. And I'm walking, I'm like really scared to go to the bathroom. Like I'm scared that something's gonna pop out at me. Something's gonna like jump out behind the door or whatever, some weird illusion. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, I could hear like auditory hallucinations of a baby crying. Man, it was trippy. It was really trippy. So this baby would cry, and then I'd go to the bathroom, I'd turn the light on, and it would reach this like climax moment where I'd go turn the light on to the bathroom, where I think something bad's gonna happen, and then it's just like this sense of release, or sense of relief rather. I do my thing, then I go back and sit down, and it was in this like cycle. This cycle would happen, so I'd go sit down, and I'd bundle myself up, sit in symmetry, and work through these mathematical. And I'd sit in symmetry, and I'd work through these mathematical equations. And I tell you, this must have went on for like hours and hours, like 4 hours of math. Just, I wasn't in symmetry all the time. I would break symmetry, and I would catch myself like lying on my side, just like scared of something. And then when I'd catch myself, I'd bring myself back to symmetry, even if I was afraid and I'm clenching my fists. I recommend to like just relax, or just let all your muscles relax into it. But at this point I wasn't doing that, but I was still symmetry, at least I was there. And I'd do these math problems in my mind. I don't know if I'd do them, but they would happen. And then my bladder would fill up. Like every 20 minutes I was going to the bathroom. Every 20 minutes I was going to the bathroom. I'd get up, I'd go hear the baby crying. I'd go to turn on the light. I was super scared of it happening, and every time it would be a little bit more afraid, like something even worse is going to happen. Then turn it on and nothing's there, and okay. And then I'd go to the washroom, come back. So it was like 4 hours of math, and then finally I was like, oh man, I do not want to do this anymore. I gotta get out of here. So I went for a walk. It must have been like 4 in the morning. So I go out my street, and it's probably like a 10-minute walk to like a pretty busy, like, I don't know if it's technically a highway, Mary Hill bypass, I don't know, but it's a busy street, and it was busy. There's traffic there for sure. And as I'm walking, my ego's breaking down, and I'm working through my stuff, walking toward the really busy street, you know, my ego's breaking down, and I have the realization that I'm God. Like, I made it. There, I realized my true nature, and I felt invincible. And I crossed the street, so I'm walking toward the cars. There's no sidewalk there. So I'm walking toward the cars, and I got my hands out beside me, like this. And I, like, both hands out, like on 1,000 mics of acid. I'm God. And I felt invincible. Like, it didn't matter if a car hit me, nothing. And that lasted probably 30 seconds. And then I'm like, you know what? I could actually get hurt here. Okay, let's tone it down a little bit. So then I hop on the other side of the barrier. There's like a little barrier to protect cars from flying off into the ditch or whatever. And I'm walking along, and yeah, that walk home was like, it's where the illusion set in. It's like I made it to that place where I am everything. I am God. And then once I accepted that, there was room for illusion to like grab a hold. It's like, well, if I'm God, that means that I can do anything. It's like, okay. And if I can do anything, well then, and then it would just be like a list of like illusions and fantasies playing out. Like, man, after I got home, there was like a whole bunch of fruit. I bought like a big tray of fruit for my trip, which I didn't end up having till later. Yeah, so what would happen is I would have a piece of fruit, and then I would, like, as I'm eating it, my house is like set up in a way that I can like do a full lap. So there's like kind of like an island in the middle where like part of the kitchen is and the bathroom is, and then you can walk around the outside where like the main rooms are. And I would eat a piece of fruit, and then I'd like do a lap. And as I'd walk from the kitchen into the living room, I'd create a story. And then I'd maybe like do a little lap in there where I'd entertain the story. And then I would come back down the hallway back into the kitchen where the story would vanish. And then I would have another piece of fruit. And then I'd go create a story. And then I'd come back, and then the story would fade. And then it was just like this like loop. Like, it was just looping in my mind of like, well, I'm God and I can do anything. Well, I'm going to go do like some miracle work. I'm going to go destroy this, or I'm going to go like cause like whatever, anything. Just like whatever the mind wants to do. It was just on a rampage. And up to that point of like accepting who I am, that's where like the work was. And then after that, there was probably work to be done, but it was just I wasn't on top of it. And that was pretty much it. Like, the next day, it lasted quite a while, but it was like toned down. Everything was like super like connected, and like on the highway, like my thoughts would, I would be having a thought, and then I'd get to like a challenging thought, and then like all of a sudden it'd be like instant like traffic jam on the highway where everyone would come to like a complete stop. It was just like so synchronistic, where I was like aware of it, going from like a non-understanding to like I don't know, almost like a full-blown understanding that everything is connected, that I could see it. I hadn't had time to integrate it yet, so it was a big gap that I jumped over, whereas that integration kind of filled the gap to be like everything is one, and I can still function and not be freaked out every time something that seems coincidental happens. So yeah, that's it. That's my story, 1,000 micrograms. So it doesn't really compare to my other story of doing the same LSD at a festival where it was just like mayhem. But anyway, I hope you guys got something from that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.